It is 9 o'clock. Good evening to you. This is The Globe on SABC News, and we're coming to you live from the SABC Centre in Johannesburg. I'm Simpio Ngwane. Welcome and thank you for watching.
And I'm Lulu Gabu. Indeed, thank you for joining us. Now onto our top story. Reports coming out of Lubumbashi say presidential candidate Martin Fayulu had to be whisked away from a campaign site after police fired tear gas and rubber bullets onto his campaign site on Tuesday. The Kinshasa Times, a local online newspaper, adds that upon arrival in Lubumbashi, where thousands of his followers were massed to welcome their leader, Fayulu was not allowed to reach the Cité, Jeunes, a stadium where he was scheduled to address his followers.
Well, the online newsletter goes on to say that police fired tear gas, used rubber bullets and cannon waters to disperse the followers. Fayulu was elected by 7 other opposition leaders in Geneva as the opposition coalition leader. The coalition survived only 24 hours before it split in 2 camps, namely Lamuka, that is Fayulu's, and Catch, that is Campaign for Change, led by Felix Tshisekedi, the son of the deceased opposition leader Etienne Tshisekedi.
Lamuka is a political platform sponsored by millionaire and former Katanga province governor Mwasi Katumbi and former vice president recently released from ICC Jean-Pierre Bemba. Aime Zonveni is the editor of the Kinshasa Times, an online Congolese newsletter, and he joins us via Skype from Lubumbashi in Kinshasa. Aime, thank you so much for joining us on The Globe this evening. Now, exactly what happened this afternoon?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. Well, this afternoon, it was in the early hour of the afternoon, around 1 o'clock. That's when Martin Fayulu's plane landed at Luano International Airport in Lubumbashi, and this was part of the campaign which he started a couple of days back from Eastern DRC, and this didn't pan out the way it has been scheduled because he was not able to reach Saint Etienne Stadium where he was scheduled to address his many followers. So he was prevented. It is reported he was prevented to reach his venue for the rally by police.
Now, Aime, why exactly was he prevented from reaching the venue? Has there been any information coming through?
Well, information on the ground seemed to indicate that he simply could not reach his venue for the planned meeting due to the massive presence of the police, as you can see in the video. But no specific indication has been given as to why he could not reach that destination.
Why was there so many police deployed at the stadium and around the stadium? What exactly were they doing there? Were they there to prevent people? Were they expecting violence, or what is the situation on the ground?
The situation on the ground right now in Lubumbashi, which is by the evening, is quite relatively calm. Mostly the police are deployed as part of an effort to prevent any misconduct and to ensure that campaigns are properly conducted. So this is part of normal and standard police procedures to make sure that the campaigns and campaigning happens without any disturbance to public order.
Now, with campaign and no disturbance to the public order, this particular campaign did not manage to happen. What's the response from the police with regards to why a presidential candidate was not able to do his election campaign at the particular stadium? Is there any reason that they're giving for this taking place?
No specific reasons has been communicated from the police in particular, but the fact is, on the ground, it has been observed this afternoon that he was not able to properly conduct his campaign.
Now, Aime, it's a couple of days before elections are expected to take place in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is the 23rd of December. Are we likely to see such actions continuing with other potential presidential candidates going forward before the elections?
Well, this seems to be the second similar incident, still with the same candidate, Martin Fayulu. The first one has having happened a couple of days back when his plane was not able to make it to a town called Kindu in eastern DRC. I think so far many of these presidential candidates have been allowed to campaign without any hassles, be it Felix Tshisekedi, who is also leading another opposition coalition, or the regime's candidate Emmanuel Shadari. They have been traveling to different parts of the country without any hindrance at all. So to me, I think as we are gradually progressing to the date of the elections, which is December 23rd, we hope that such incidents will only be minor incidents to the road leading to the holding of polls when they are scheduled to happen.
Now, with regards to the current president, Joseph Kabila, who's expected to step down, as he stated in the media that he would be stepping down after the elections have taken place on the 23rd of December. With this taking place currently, has there been any response from government or the ruling party with regards to some of the presidential candidates not being able to access their potential voters?
Well, there hasn't been, to my knowledge, any indication, especially from the presidential camp, as a response or any statement made regarding all these other incidents surrounding the campaigns of other, mostly opposition leaders. I think each and every camp is now trying to speak and to the masses, to their various followers, and trying to speak to the souls and hearts to try and win their hearts, so that they get elected when come the polls on the 23rd. So there was no specific statement from the regime or from the police station or the police officer.
Have you been able to speak to people who were at the stadium this afternoon with regards to their reaction and how the actions of the police using rubber bullets and water cannons to disperse crowds have what they have to say with regards to what took place this afternoon?
They simply complained that their candidate was not able to address them, even though they were quite expectant and they believed that they would be able to see their candidates. Now, you should bear in mind that Lubumbashi and the former Katanga province broadly is the stronghold of the regime, and therefore this was quite to be expected as a candidate from the opposition is campaigning in what is reported to be a stronghold from the regime.
Now, the regime, as you mentioned, the fact that the regime is part of the government, which is Joseph Kabila's regime. In terms of free and fair elections, with these sort of actions taking place, just a couple of days, I think plus minus 11 days to the day of voting taking place in the DRC, do you think elections will be free and fair in the DRC?
Well, many critics say that all the conditions for free and democratic elections are not fully met. But if you hear what is coming from the electoral commissioners, namely the chair of the electoral commissions, he says that he has done his level best to deploy all the voting machines across the vast DRC territory. All the voters have been sensitized, and all the appropriate materials have been deployed so that, according to the Electoral Commission, they think that what we will have on the 23rd is indeed free and democratic elections.
Now, President Joseph Kabila yesterday spoke to the media with regards to the electronic voting machines, and just stated that the machines are not really anything big. They're just something to give a report with regards to the fact that a person has voted and cast their ballot. What's the reaction from the people of the country with regards to the electronic voting machines? Are they comfortable now going forward into elections, or is this fight still continuing with regards to these electronic voting machines?
I think there is a divided opinion on these electronic voting machines, as you would probably know. The Electoral Commission is of the opinion that this will fast-track the process of casting ballots and of computing the votes that will be cast, so that we can get the results as quickly as, I think, 24 hours or at least 2 days after the elections have been held. But the opposition maintains that these electronic voting machines could create a leeway for rigging. So there's like divergent opinions on the machines, and this will be the first time that these devices will be used in the DRC. And the DRC is a country that still needs a lot of digital education, and that might be the big challenge in terms of using these electronic voting machines, and also in terms of infrastructures, trying to deploy them to remote places where maybe there is no electricity. But as it stands, the vote that's happening on the 23rd will be done with the use of the voting machines.
What's the reaction from the presidential candidate Martin Fayulu faction with regards to what took place this afternoon, the fact that he was not able to address voters, these potential voters, and the action of the police thereafter?
He indeed lamented, and he was quite critical of the police, saying that he is being prevented from speaking to his followers, and this, he said, was not conducive to peaceful polls on the 23rd of December. He has called on the international community, the United Peacekeeping missions that has been in the country for nearly 20 years now, to try and see what practical measures can be taken in order to ensure that all presidential candidates are able to freely campaign across the country.
Very quickly, Aime, any reaction from the international community, especially with regards to what took place, the violence that took place this afternoon, and the presidential candidate not being able to address voters?
Not to my knowledge, but I understand that very shortly that the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission and other international bodies that are based in the DRC, operate from the DRC, will issue statements calling all stakeholders and all parties concerned to the process to make sure that this is indeed a process that culminates into peaceful polls, and that the best candidates emerges victorious, so that peace prevails after the elections.
Aime, thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave it there for now. That is Aime Zonveni, editor of the Kinshasa Times, an online Congolese newspaper, joining us via Skype.